want to start with an idea I have. And this is it's an idea that our audience probably is like, oh, he's doing this again. Yeah, I am. At one point, I made Juan Soto my white whale of baseball. Like I was Captain Ahab, and I needed to get Juan Soto on the Phillies. And obviously that dream is now dead, and I have to move on from that. But I have a white whale of the NFL. And I've talked about him every year for years. And I will do this until I get him here to Philadelphia. And Hugh, yeah, that's fine. Mumbles Douglas can be part of this.
I'm just saying, okay? Man, I already know where you're going.
Yeah, you do know where we're going.
You're trying to set it up, too.
Well, because here's what I see. I see an Eagles offseason in which they've lost a lot of good defensive players. And I see a team that has a great core. But, boy, we add one more to this core, especially on the defensive side. Away we go for years. Who did we add?
Azeez Ojulari.
Oh, come on. I mean,
did you hear Barry Brooks?
Come on now.
Wax poetic about Azeez Ojulari the other day.
Azeez a nice kid. Nice player.
Barry said he went back and watched the film.
Yeah, here we go.
You know, but speaking of Barry, you know what Barry did the other day?
I don't.
He did something real mean and hurtful. He sent, when I talked about not winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
right?
He sent you a ring or something?
He sent me pictures of him with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
That is mean. And with all due respect to Azeez Ojulari, he's here on a 1-year, $4 million deal.
A proven deal. Guess who else is here on a 1-year deal?
Who's that?
Let me take that back because I was about to tell a lie.
Zach Bond?
No, that's a good one. I was thinking about Saquon.
Yeah, that wasn't true. Azeez Ojulari is a nice player. I don't want nice players. I want great players. And Hugh Douglas, there's a great player who is going into the last year of his deal, and he has not been re-signed yet by his team. In fact, his team, according to Jane Slater, has not even started meaningful talks with this guy. You probably know what I'm talking about right now. I want Micah Parsons on the Philadelphia Eagles.
You have got to be smoking.
I'm not smoking something. He is the best young pass rusher in the sport, and I want him on the Philadelphia Eagles. Look, the Eagles have, over the next 2 years, 20 draft picks. And for everyone out there who's become Mel Kiper Jr. 2.0, let me just for 1 second tell you, I'm gonna burst your bubble. The Eagles aren't using 20 draft picks in the next 2 years. They're just not. They're not going to incorporate 20 rookies and second-year players into a Super Bowl team.
You're making a strong case.
So they're going to trade some of these picks. So you know what I want to do?
God, you see this?
I want to call the Cowboys, and I want to take advantage of a team that is a mess right now, an owner that has seen better days. I want to offer them draft picks, and I want Micah Parsons on the Eagles. Now, before everyone yells at me, including Hugh and Kyle, we're going to have Spin Dr. Douglas today.
I'll never yell at you.
No, but there's going to be Spin Dr.
Douglas. I'm listening, though. Yeah. You're making a compelling argument. You're making a compelling argument.
He is a tremendous young player. He has 52 and a half sacks since entering the NFL.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
If they put Parsons and Jalen Carter together, we were trying in the meeting today to determine when was the last time there would be a defensive duo in the league that good? And I don't even know when it is. Maybe Simeon Rice, Warren Sapp. I mean, Mike mentioned Jerome Brown, Reggie White. We're going back decades.
That's a long-ass time.
Long-ass time. We're talking about two Hall of Fame talent young defenders together. The Cowboys are a mess. The Eagles have 20 draft picks over the next 2 years. They haven't re-signed him yet. He is my white whale. I want him on the Eagles. So here's what I'm curious about today. Now, we can debate how good he is and worth it and all that. Do you want him on the Eagles? Because I understand what I'm doing. I'm trying to bring a cowboy here, right? No one likes Micah Parsons. I'll admit he's a goofball. He's a cowboy. Has loser vibes sometimes.
Loser vibes.
But he's a heck of a football player. 215-592-9494. I want Parsons on the Eagles, and I want the Eagles to do this and take advantage of the Cowboys as they're in a weak spot of their franchise. Hugh, where do you come down on Micah?
First of all, Joe, you make a compelling argument. You long talked it a little bit,
well,
but you were intriguing. You were very intriguing.
Well, you tried to filibuster with Azeez Ojulari. Azeez Ojulari.
No, because I knew when you started to sell it, I knew where you was going with it.
Right.
Here's how I view the Micah Parsons situation. Yes, he is a hell of a player, no question about that. I feel like, personally, that there's a lot of times that he disappears, even though he got 55 sacks. Sometimes he disappears, you know. I look at this locker room culture, and I understand that we want to get players that can play. But this culture has thrived, and we've seen some guys that have passed through this organization and have played for this organization, they're playing for this organization now. They've done a tremendous job of keeping the main thing, if you will, and keeping this culture intact. I think that a guy like Micah Parsons, as good as he plays, he will upset that culture in a way. Micah Parsons, do you know what I remember Micah Parsons for as a Dallas Cowboy more so this year than any other? Podcast bites, podcast quotes, being controversial while his team was out there getting their ass kicked every weekend. And he and I understand that I'm old school and I come from a different era, but I understand you're doing a podcast, but I would not want to do anything that adds any kind of light to me outside of football when we're getting beat like that. That just, to me, is an uncomfortable place to be on a personal level. And it's just, when you talk about getting beat and not being focused, that's what it kind of looks like. So much so that we had a guy here that Podcast P said, hey, I'm done podcast because I got to get ready for basketball. And then look what happened to him. I think that when football season is around, and I get it, I understand that there's a lot of money to be had in podcasts and guys doing their thing and, sponsors, and people want to be brought behind the curtain, if you will. But we are about the business of winning football games and being a storied franchise. The closest thing that we had to that was Darius Slay, and he wasn't that big of a distraction. He was a little bit of a distraction, but not a big distraction, not so much that it took away from the ultimate goal. I think that Micah Parsons would do that. And another thing, look at the pattern that the Eagles are following. They're not signing guys like that. The guy that they signed like that, they got him, Zach Bond. They gave him the most money. They're going out defensively, and they're getting guys for one-year deals, and they're getting guys that play well as a cohesive unit. Micah Parsons screams to me more of an individual. He beefing with one of his teammates. And you know what the thing I remember about that? The year that they were in the playoffs when they played Green Bay. And DeMarcus had more motion in that game. He was doing more than Micah Parsons was, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know what the stat line was, but so much so that I think after that game he said something to the effect that if guys stop podcasting and play football or something like that, that maybe we could have won this game or something.
Yeah. Look, he might rub teammates the wrong way. I don't know. I'm glad you brought up the Slay thing because I think there's similarities. Really good. Now, I think Slay was a very good player. I think Parsons is a great player, but both high-end players, and they were on loser teams. Sometimes loser energy, you kind of fall into that. You get Micah here, and I think he plays his best football as he goes into his prime. Let's hear from LeSean McCoy. LeSean said something recently about the idea of the Cowboys trading Parsons that I really liked. Here's what he said about Micah and the future of him in Dallas and why he should be moving on.
Trade Micah Parsons because he's too good for the Cowboys. I'm being serious, though. I'm tired of him being in a different conversation. No, I'm tired of him being in a franchise. They complain about everything. Any team would love to have Micah Parsons.
No question.
That's the problem.
That's the problem.
Nobody, that's small. All he does is wreck games and get crazy busy on the field.
Crazy.
I think it's time for, because everybody thinks it's a Cowboy thing. No. It's a Micah thing. Let Micah go because Micah is too good for the Cowboys. Let him go to a better franchise, a winning franchise, and to deal with all that bull crap. Because my thing is, you quick to pay the quarterback who can't get it done.
Exactly.
Right? CeeDee Lamb, I love CeeDee Lamb.
No
He's
question,
nice.
baller.
Other than CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons, who else you got over there?
That's all I'm saying.
Right? Trayvon Diggs is a really good player, but I'm thinking when you talk about elevating the team and making everybody better, that's what Micah Parsons does.
Making everybody better, elevating a team too good for the Cowboys, get him to a winning franchise. Let Shady cook there. Get Micah Parsons to Philadelphia.
Elevate them to what?
Well, let's be fair. They had the worst defense in the league when he got there, and then for 3 straight years, they've won a lot of games. They won a lot of games. Okay. It's ironic to me that we talked about the dumpster fire they are, yet they're always in contention. Why? His play on defense. He played 13 games last year at 12 sacks. If you put him next to Jalen Carter, it's the best pass rushing duo in the league. I'm just using your argument. I'm using you people's argument for Miles.
Peoples.
Yeah, this is the Myles Garrett argument, except he's 6 years younger. Get him to Philadelphia. Kyle, where do you come down on this, even though I already know your answer?
I would rather...
Oh, no.
The Dallas Cowboys extend Micah Parsons, lock up all their cap, keep him there, and have to see him twice a year and spoil that locker room rotten, then see the Eagles even make an attempt at bringing in Micah Parsons. Keep that loser on the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys have an extensive history at this point of losers. I mean, especially the ones that come to Philly. DeMarco Murray, loser. Orlando Scandrick, mega loser.
And please don't put him in the same category.
I understand Parsons is a better player than those guys. I know he's a good player. Now, we can talk about just how good of a player he actually is. I think you might be onto something a little bit with him disappearing. Some would say he's the Dak Prescott of the Dallas Cowboys defense. But we talked yesterday, Joe, about how this defense needs good, quality, veteran leadership because of how young the defense is.
Yes, we did.
And how loose of a cannon that we know that Jalen Carter is. This guy's not a leader. And I heard you make the comparison to Darius Slay. I think the difference between him and Darius Slay is that while we got annoyed with Slay and we were like, that guy's not a leader, all of the players on Slay's team said, no, he's a leader. The difference with Micah Parsons is that the players on his team, his former teammates, are calling him out for literally being a loser. We are trying to build a winning culture here. That guy will set this franchise back. I am out. Do not get Micah Parsons here.
So some of that I can't argue with, some of it I can. Sometimes people grow up. He's 25 years old. You know, I remember way back in the day, there was a punk on the Nationals. His name was Bryce Harper, and he got plunked by Cole Hamels because everyone looked at him like he was a punk. And you know what? He got choked out by one of his own teammates in the dugout. His name was Jonathan Papelbon.
Yeah.
Sometimes people grow up, and I'm willing to take the chance that he'll grow up and win in an Eagles uniform. 215-592-9494. Do you want Mike? Would you want Micah Parsons here? I mean, Howie has a chance to make a phone call in the next couple of weeks. Say, hey, Jerry, I got 20 draft picks over the next 2 years. If you can't sign the guy, I'll take him on here. Would you want Parsons on the Eagles?
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Big fat no.
Yeah, big fat no to Micah Parsons. 52 and a half career sacks. I thought yesterday I was told we have Clint Hurt. Clint Hurt could solve all problems. What about him?
I mean,
180 Douglas.
What do you mean? I mean, I'm not going to change. Clint Hurt is a
I'm
really
with
good
you.
coach.
I mean, Joe, we are sitting next to a guy who might know a thing or two about defense and defensive ends.
I'm just saying. Clint Hurt's a good dude, man. But it's like, and plus, it doesn't fit into the Eagles' plan as far as their defense is concerned.
Oh, he's the best pass rusher in the league, potentially. He had the third most pressures in the league, more than Myles Garrett, by the way. He only played 12 games.
Garbage time.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
I remember.
You guys
I
are
remember
killing
back in the
me.
day when they wore leather helmets that the pressures was never a stat.
Well, it should have been. You would have got more money. 215-592-9494. All right. Where do you come down on this? Would you want Micah Parsons in an Eagles uniform? It sounds like this could come to a head in Dallas over the next couple weeks as they have not made meaningful progress on a deal. He's in the last year of his contract. I don't know what the heck the Cowboys are doing, but I would love him here on the Eagles. Let's hear from Baldy, though, because Baldy thinks this team has quite enough pass rush depth now, ironically, maybe because of Azeez and Jalen Sutton, all these other guys they brought in. Here is Baldy.
I like him. I like him because they're both young. Ojulari is only 24 right now, Mike. Uche is only 25. They got an upside to both of them right here. Ojulari had 8 sacks his rookie year in New York when he was the healthiest he'd been. You got to remember now, in Vic Fangio's defense, you're not just a pass rusher. You're an outside linebacker. That's what they're looking to replace from Josh Sweat. Guys that have to be able to drop and cover a little bit in the flat, do some other things. So both these players, Uche had 11.5 sacks in 2022, when he had a really good pass rusher opposite him in Matt Judon. They had 27 sacks between the two of them. So I think, and then Uche, went to Kansas City last year. I talked to Steve Spagnuolo about it. He goes, it's difficult to learn our defense on the fly during the season. We just ask guys to do so much. So he didn't do a lot in Kansas City. But they both have talent. They believe in throwing a lot of bodies at these positions. They'll probably draft an edge guy as well. You saw the development of Nolan Smith like nobody else in the last 10 weeks last year. We saw Jalen Hunt have a real impact during the Super Bowl, their third-round pick from a year ago. So they want depth at that position.
Well, that depth is what they have, Hugh, and depth is how they won last year. And look, depth is a great thing to have. You know what else is a great thing to have? Great football players. Like if they roll what they have, I do think they've added nice depth to this pass, right? Like Azeez, you mentioned Azeez and Uche. That's good depth. But there's nothing like having a great edge rusher. Remember what that was like, having a great a one-man wrecking crew on the outside?
Yeah, one-man gang.
Yeah.
One-man gang.
With another one-man, when Jalen Carter, put them together.
Yeah, I get it, but I think with the committee, because that's what they're going to do. You get some guys, you get a bunch of guys like that, and you get them for the price that you want them, and you win games that way. That's what I think they're going to do. They've allocated all their resources to the offensive side of the ball. Excuse me. They've done that.
Well, they have, but they could shift it. I mean, you're right. They have so far, but man, 20 draft picks over the next couple of years. I'm just dreaming on this. I just wrote these names down. I have 6 names here. Like, just think about this as the core of the defense for the next few seasons. Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean in the secondary. And then up front, in the middle, Zach Bond. And then up front, Jalen Carter, Micah Parsons, Nolan Smith. We could replicate or even surpass what they were last year. The Eagles' defense could be the best in the league for years to come. Not just 1 year, not just one special year, years to come. 215-592-9494. I don't know what everyone's going to say today. I just know the two people I'm sitting here with are losing their minds. Out on the idea of acquiring Micah Parsons. Trying to get great players. Nah.
Out.
Kyle wants him to re-sign in Dallas instead of come here. It's unbelievable.